Welcome back to the Yivanet Beis HaMidrash, to KLM, and we are now in the third week of Elul! Right? Let's not forget, we only have one more week, and this is big. Exactly. We have to wake up. Okay. Now, I want to talk about Rosh Hashanah, and let's just begin with a very great difficulty. This, if you think about this, it really doesn't make sense, okay? Rosh Hashanah, you're being judged for your life, okay? And we know that the better shape you are in spiritually, the better your judgment, okay? So, excuse me, I mean, because Hashem ordered it this way, but if I may ask, why not have Yom Kippur first, right? Can you imagine you have let's give us 3 days of tshuva before Yom Kippur. You have days of tshuva to prepare for Yom Kippur. You're doing vidu, you're pouring your heart out to Hashem, and you're clean. And now, judge me, Hashem. Judge me then. You hear this? It's backwards. It's backwards. So, okay, we have to understand this. Why is Rosh Hashanah come first, right? Now, here's the thing. Would it, even if it went, okay, yeah, so let me just tell you the beginning of the answer. The beginning answer, Rev Brodiansky brings us, Rev Yitzhak Blazer, is like this. Here's the problem. If you went into Rosh Hashanah thinking, I'm in good shape, I'm clean, I'm ready to be judged by the judge of the universe, you will fail. We have to realize that the din, the judgment of Hashem is pure perfection. And if he holds us to the standards of perfection and judgment, no one, not, it says in Nisana Tokef, it says the angels are trembling. The angels are trembling, right? The angels are as close to perfection as you get. They're worried and trembling, right? So the thing is this, if we were to be judged according to the strict laws of justice, and we came to Yom Kippur, we would be thinking, oh, I'm in good shape, and that would be a disaster, okay? It would be a terrible thing. Would it, maybe it would help? No, it would hurt, okay? And the thing is this, by having what we call pachad, and recognition of Hashem's perfection and His justice, that switches him over to being merciful, okay? So that's the thing we have to realize. Rosh Hashanah belongs there first, because also it has to, we have to kind of shift the Shem from strict justice to compassion and mercy on us, right? And the first thing is to have incredible respect for what we're dealing with, right? Now, if we do that, there's actually a surprise that on Rosh Hashanah, we think about it. If you were going to a court case, right? Let's make it a scary court case, right? Let's say you're in a foreign country. I heard the story that somebody was, I think it was an Israeli person, was in Turkey, and he took one of I guess the Turkey, we'll call it a lira. I don't know what it is. The Turkey currency, and he used it to wipe his brow. And a policeman saw him. He threw him into jail. And he had to just beg to get out. You don't mess around with a country that's strict, right? So now, the thing is this. Think about this. We're being judged by as we just said, perfect justice, perfection. We're being judged. And we come in and we're wearing really nice clothes. Imagine somebody was wearing like a white tuxedo. They come into a court case for their capital and they're wearing a white tuxedo and they had a fancy meal. That seems totally inappropriate. Yet, that's what we start off with. We do that on Rosh Hashanah, right? So again, we have to understand, why do we have that? And the meals are festive and beautiful, right? What's going on there? So, This is, by the way, I'm going to give you quite a scheme to master this information. I'm just giving you an overview first, okay? But the truth of the matter is that if we worried about Rosh Hashanah and took it seriously beforehand, then we can feel confident. Listen to the Torah, that Hashem will make a nace and give us a good judgment. All right? So if we take it seriously before, then in the meals we do the samanim, we're supposed to exude confidence in Hashem's mercy. All right? So what I like to do at KLM is I want us to do it live, okay? I don't know what's going to happen to you the next week. Everybody should have plenty of time to do a spiritual accounting and figure and make a plan and recognize the gravity of the day, but you may not, okay? So right now we're going to do that, okay? So let's have in mind, okay? So we're doing, first of all, as always, have in mind the midst of learning Torah, but also we are going to prepare for Rosh Hashanah for even for a few minutes. We have to realize when it comes to spirituality, it's not a numbers game. If you do something with authentic feeling and emotions and kavanah and you do a mitzvah, it's unbelievable to Hashem, right? So let's prepare for a few minutes, okay? So here's what I want you to do. Have in mind the mitzvah of Yiras Hashem, right? Because you're taking seriously the judgment that's going to happen in 7 days about, okay? 7? Okay. So what I want you to do, maybe close your eyes, and I'm going to just give you a way to think about the gravity of the judgment, all right? And I also want to remind everybody that don't be afraid to be afraid of Hashem, okay? It's a spiritual thing where you get a protection, okay? So I want you to think about what happened this past year, okay? And for the moment, I want you to go to, let's say, your most difficult experiences. Maybe they were with children or a spouse or a friend or a job, okay? I want you to think of some of the difficult things. Think of, let's say, the fear you might have had this year about Corona. If you got Corona, think about that. Think about people. Think about also the suffering and difficulties of other people, what they went through this year. You know, people who were in ICU, people who Hashem Yerachim passed on, people who were being bombed in the south of Israel. Just think of all the rough times that happened this year, okay? And recognize that that was decided on Rosh Hashanah in the 10 days of last year, okay? I want to do this too, so just take a moment, everybody, just take a moment of silence. Experiences you just wish had not happened. Okay, so I want you to think about, right now, just think about, on Rosh Hashanah, all of those types of experiences will be decided. And in the 10 days after, or the 10 days total, you'll have to work very hard to prevent those things from happening. And feel worried about that. And also maybe think of the beautiful things that happened this year and realize they occurred from Rosh Hashanah. This is an aspect of Yiras Hashem too. And realize that on this Rosh Hashanah, Hashem's gonna decide what good happens in your life and what bracha and what breakthroughs you have. It's all being decided by Hashem on Rosh Hashanah. Okay, so we can say we prepared, at least some. I can't encourage you enough to do this as much as you can, especially on Erev Rosh Hashanah, okay? So when you enter, then you can put on wear a nice tie, a beautiful dress, dress beautifully, and celebrate, okay? And now, the other thing is that's amazing about Rosh Hashanah, and this is in the confidence mode, is how much, it's incredible. You know, it's hard to sustain good behavior, you know, for a long time. It's very hard. But you know what Hashem does? In a certain sense, Rosh Hashanah is amazing. He says, hang in there for 2 days. Be excellent for 2 days. I'm giving you a year of good from that, right? And just Hashem makes it that your every single little action has meaning and impact on your whole year. And that's the idea behind the simanim, okay? When you make it, you know, how did Moshe split the river? Who split the river really? The Yam Suf. Who split it? Kadosh Baruch Hu did, right? Why didn't Hashem just go like this? Hashem says to Moshe, take a staff and go boom, right? So that act, it's really symbolic. What, that split the waters? But guess what? When Hashem's pressing the levers and pulling the button, your little actions, boom, split river. Can split a river. That's what the simanim are. You know, those simanim, you're supposed to actually eat things that represent sweetness. Sweetness will come into the world. It's incredible, right? Gezeres, decrees against our enemies. These little, it says in the Gemara, Simana milsahi. It's a milsa, just like an ace ratzon is a milsa. Simanim are milsim. They're real things. They impact. And also when you know how we do it, right? I have my son here, is you say Yehi Ratzon. Keep in mind, that's not Yehi Ratzon, you're davening to Hashem. So you're doing a Maisa, and you're davening to Hashem. And the Mishnah Berurah says, when you do it, you should feel pangs of tshuva, like to say, oh Hashem, please forgive me for the bad things. Like if it's in your heart while you're praying, and you're doing this meaningful act, it's unbelievable, and you're showing Hashem, I know you do it all. This is like splitting the river, and that's bitachon. So we had a little niggin we do, right? We say, tshuva, tefillah, tshuva, tefillah, and then we said, yotzi maisa lepoel, right? You're bringing from your heart, poel lemaisa, and bitachon, trust in Hashem. You hear? There's so many beautiful little mitzvahs in that. And again, have kavanah for the mitzvah of doing simanim. It's a minhag. A minhag is a mitzvah in divrei Kabbalah. Okay? So that's the first zone. Okay? That's the night. And then we move into the day of judgment. So I want to give you a scheme right now to help you master the key emotions that we're supposed to have. And let's take a look. Okay. Wouldn't it be wonderful if you could give the master of the universe, the creator of the universe, the king of kings, on Rosh Hashanah, you could give him a gift? Would that not be a good way to get, if you want to, if you will, influence the king, right? You'd like to give him a gift, right? So this is the same problem, Lahavdil, as Father's Day, okay? What's the problem on Father's Day? What if your father is, please God, wealthy? Yes, what are you going to give your father? What are you going to give your Abba, right? So if he has everything, what are you going to give him, right? So that problem, you know, Dad, can I borrow some money to give you a gift? You know, and what would you want? Well, son, I have everything. So it's such a kal vachomer when it comes to the creator of the universe, right? So what can we give him, right? So guess what? You know what we can give him? We can give him what he really wants. Rahmana Liba boy. The merciful one, notice the name of Hashem, he wants your heart. That's what you can give Hashem. It's connected to yours, Hashem, because we say the only thing Hashem doesn't have is our fear of him, right? Hashem wants our hearts. Now, let's just get something straight. You can't give your heart without your deeds, okay? We have to get this. Is so important to not misunderstand, because it's funny, there was a saying in the old days, people would say, I'm a good Jew in my heart, right? So the famous statement, and I'm sure they are. A lot of people that said that really have a good heart. So this one Jew met this rabbi, I think on an airplane, and he said to the rabbi, I'm a really good Jew in my heart. He says, you have to be careful you don't get a heart attack. He said, what? He says, well, there's 613 commandments, and each one is for a different limb and all this. He says, you're going to do it on your heart, you can get a heart attack. So it's not enough to just give your heart. But when your actions have heart, that's something you can really give. What Hashem loves the most about your maaseh is your heart, is your kavanah. Hint, hint. Okay? So I want to show us how, and the thing is this, if we do Rosh Hashanah in a ritualistic manner, okay, it's like we're doing the actions, but there's no heartbeat, okay? So I came up with an idea for us. I have CPR for Rosh Hashanah, how we can give our heart as a gift to Hashem. Okay, here it is, CPR, right? Pulmonary resuscitation, all right? What's beautiful is there's just 3 emotions that capture the day, and they go into according to parts of the day of Rosh Hashanah. You just have to remember and CPR. Confidence, pachad, being terrified, and romamus, a sense of awe and exaltation about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay? These are the 3 things that capture the day, and it's really beautiful because you can focus. In my humble opinion, Rosh Hashanah was designed beautifully for you to implement these at different times. All right? So here we are. C, confidence. P, pachad, fear. R, romamus, which means being in awe of Hashem. Okay, when are you supposed to have confidence? Okay, at the Yom Tov meals. When you're saying that, when you're putting on your Yom Tov clothes, you're sitting having a festive meal, you're confident in Hashem's mercy. All right? But you have a confidence here, because why? Because as we did earlier, if you prepared, you concerned yourself by the decree, that awakens His mercy. You can have confidence Hashem will make a miracle and give you a good judgment, right? So, when you're at the meals, confidence. That's how you give your heart to Hashem. Hashem, I am confident that since the King of the Kings is also my Father, and I showed you that I took you seriously as a king, I can be confident that you'll be merciful. So confidence at the night in the meals. Pachad, right? When are you judged on Rosh Hashanah? So I believe this is pretty much commonly agreed. It's on the first day of Rosh Hashanah, sometime between Nates and the first Tekiah shofar. That's the main judgment, okay? So when you wake up in the morning, on Rosh Hashanah morning, you should feel now it's happening. I'm being judged right now. My every action is being evaluated. And during Tekiah shofar, right? What is the shofar then? It's a siren. Woo, woo, woo. I'm being judged, right? So that's the time. It's a concentrated time of pachad, of fear of Hashem's judgment. And guess what? As they say, one of the ways to move Hashem from His throne of judgment to mercy is being afraid, okay? That's showing you recognize He's the King. I'll tell you one story I had where I realized, one of the things you should try not to do is get angry on Rosh Hashanah, right? Or get upset, right? You have to accept Hashem's providence, right? So years and years and years, we always davened Nates in the yeshiva. And that was always, right? And so one time, one Rosh Hashanah, I went to sleep the Rosh Hashanah night, and it was like morning time, and it was funny because there was a little too much light in the room. I thought, oh, did I go to sleep with the light on? It's after Nate's. I slept through Nate's, right? And I'm like, oh, Nate's the key. And so but then I went, it's Rosh Hashanah. Oh, Shem's in charge here. Let me relax and go to another place to daven, It's like I was completely conscious that this is judgment time. I shouldn't lose it. I shouldn't get stressed and stuff like that. The morning is for pachad, right? The morning is for intense recognition of Hashem, okay? And that moves Hashem to, look again, mercy. And here, the shofar is a siren. Okay, that first shofar, you should be doing, ideally you should be some say you should do the vidoy in your heart. Okay, you should do tshuva. Have in mind the mitzvah of tshuva. And most importantly, the tekiah shofar. Finally, okay, when Romamus, then we shift emotions at Musaf. In Musaf, we have the shofar turns into a trumpet, a royal trumpet of coronation, okay? Let's keep in mind that Rosh Hashanah is the coronation of the King of Kings. It's a royal, exalted event, and the shofar is a blast that's like a trumpet. The Midrash explains this, so we switch over. The Vilna Gaon says the main emotion when it's blowing is simcha over the crowning of the king, right? So I suggest when the shofar starts blowing a musaf, but also the musaf davening. The musaf davening is spectacular in its description of Hashem's glory. And all those songs, right? Everyone sings. There's a royal, glorious feeling, right? So there's a mitzvah when you're doing that. It's called Yiras Aromamus. It's the highest level of fear of Hashem is to be in awe of Hashem's exaltedness and His glory and His kingdom, right? So that's the emotional mindset at Musaf, the Musaf davening and the Musaf shofar blowing. Okay, and one more thing. We're going to say Tein Paktecha. There's certain parts of the prayer we're going to say 8-9 times, and at first you're going to be filled with this is glorious and beautiful. But whatever the fourth time, the third time, sixth, etc. What do? You take to heart what the Ramchal says. The Ramchal says, remember I mentioned that when you hit a staff, Moshe did the staff to the water split. We have to realize, says the Ramchal, when we speak of Shem's glory in the prayer of Tein Paktecha on Rosh Hashanah, the glory of Hashem is perceived in the world. A greater recognition of Hashem's sovereignty and malchus and glory is happening. You're kind of like infusing the world with Hashem's glory. Isn't that incredible? So realize that each time you're infusing more glory into the world. It's not just, I said this before. I have another chance to spread the glory of Hashem each time. Okay? So, what can you give the King of Kings, the one who has everything complete? There's never been a statement more accurate than saying Hashem has everything. You can give Him your heart by having confidence in the meals and in the evening and the samanim. Then that's how you give Him your heart. Then you have pachad, you're afraid of the judgment, and then you have romamus, a sense of awe and exaltation. That's how you give Hashem a great gift. And I pray to Hashem that we're all capable of just giving Him the most beautiful gift of our hearts, meaning in actions infused with kavana and heart and passion and care. Shana Tova.